Yeah, let's go. Wow. Oh,
An extension. The extension started from 2.13, and it is like to here 130% of extension. If you count the extension from the breakout, it is a 65%. Not a lot, but today it looked kind of toppy, you know.
mm.
So, what do you think about this stock?
So what happened today? You tried you tried today and it just
Yeah, the
didn't
thing is
quite
that
work out.
it's not because of the long weekend. It just it gapped up. If I zoom into this day, it opened at 550, and yesterday, well, Friday, it closed at 480. So that's a lot. 70
Yeah.
cents, 70 cents of gap up. But then the stock started to panic, and it tested the fives and bounced.
S-
And I saw this consolidation, and I was trying to test BU up, and I think I tried to short here, and and then got stopped out here. Because this is still not this wasn't a first red day yet, so it was like chasing the overextension or what Britannia would say front side shorting. So
Yeah.
then I re-enter here, using some size but keeping a small, a tight risk, and I was winning in the moment. But then the stock just couldn't make a new low, and just stay there, and slowly grind it up. So I got out of my position when it just broke out from the BWAP. Then of course the stock just at 1 p.m. started to go down, and it closed really weak. Still green on the day by 4%, but
So
yeah, that is what happened
so
today.
on reflection then, do you think your stop should have been high of day? Because it even though it set that high in the morning of 585, that's it. It sort of looked like it
Yeah,
was going to test it, but it didn't test it. So I'm just wondering if I'm not saying I'm
basically, yeah. Well, you're right. I
I
mean,
don't have as much experience of these, but like often it's like trying to find the right cover level. And
yeah,
if it was hard, you actually get a what 60+ cent move if you then close at the lows at the end of the day.
basically, because my entry short was 560. 560. Here it was also 560, but I covered here. You know, and this is because this is front side shorting, and I still don't have a lot of experience with this one. If this would have been the first red day, meaning that it goes below, goes below something that could happen tomorrow. It can happen tomorrow. Goes below the closing price, then I have a clear risk. I said the reclaim of the red to green as my risk, and then I'll take it. Uh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have more patience. The thing is that because this was still going up, and if you go to the 15 minutes, if you see this chart like this, you see, oh, the stock is going to keep on going. So I decided to get out because it was a speculative position,
Yeah, no, fair enough.
and then it turned out to fade. But tomorrow, what my plan for tomorrow is now I have this line, this 495 as a closing price. So I hope for a small gap up to the 510s, and then start to panic, and then I'll short, having my risk very tight and leave it here at the closing price. I think that's gonna work
Yeah,
if the product doesn't continue to go right.
and what do you think's what do you think's achievable then? Because like the next, well,
The
let
next support is a 4, so you could get easily $1 a share just risking maybe 15 cents or 20 cents.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and this stock proved to me today that it's liquid enough. So if it's gonna take you out, it's gonna give you time and not a lot of slippage. So you're not gonna lose more than you want, more than what you want to lose. So it's pretty safe, in my opinion. Today I shorted it, and yeah, it gave me time to get out to think about my exits. Not like I had a short on LWLG, which was lacked of liquidity, and I took a loss because of slippage.
yeah,
So yeah, this is a pretty safe one in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. I like the look of it, and it closed below
Yeah.
five as well. So because it sort of tested this morning, it tested five, kind of broke through, but then reclaimed, set a new hod, and then it's finished at lows below five. So I think yeah, sort of a below five entry tomorrow, floor 95. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, as long if it's red, it's gonna be red for the first time since uh well, here it was uh no, it was not red. Here it was never red. Then it was green all day, green, 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 and today it was all day. It was green.
Yeah,
Very close, but it was still green. The day it goes red, I think it's gonna panic.
yeah,
I think it is. And the same thing. So this is the main watch that I have tomorrow. I would have liked for the stock to just to close closer to the 530 or 540, but I mean, I'll take it.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take it. And if I'm right about the start of the backside, I mean, we should get a move to at least to test the 3.5 or even the breakup.
I was going to say, like, maybe not tomorrow, but at some point this is going to
No,
test three,
in
isn't it?
some
At
days,
some
in some
point,
days.
yeah.
Yeah, and the other one that I was looking was LKNCY. LKNCY that I traded this for a very small loss here because I traded this as a first red day and it wasn't. Let me see the daily first. A stock that has been it's very heavy because it has a lot of resistance with volume. So the stock is having, if you see here, having one. I think this is a green day because it closed. If you see closely,
Yeah, closed higher than.
yeah. So it's a green day, and now 2 days of extension. And this
But
okay.
the,
So why
the
I
only
had
issue with that day is that obviously it did test red, tested
yeah, but
red,
it
and
was
then
only
came back
one day.
hard. Yeah,
It was only one day of extension. And the extension was from 9.8 to 11. So it's let's see. I don't know. It's not 20%, maybe not even that. So I don't know. I traded it because the panic was great, and I thought that it was gonna bounce and then keep on going. So I traded here, and when it having a tight risk, and when it just started going above me, I cut.
hmm,
So that's it. Because that kind of plays that are not perfect, I don't want to risk a lot. Eventually, just I could have, gotten away with the fade to the 10.80, but I don't know. I decided to wait, and now tomorrow it's setting up for a great trade because it rejected. It looks like it rejected daily resistance here, 13.60. and plan is the same as NLST. Now I have that the stock closed at 13.45. If it gaps up a little bit, I'm gonna look to bank on the panic. And the panic could go to 12 or 12.30.
Yeah,
Something like that. So, but I know that the LKNCY does this. We recover. So I will look to do the triple dip. Short here, cover most of my shares at the bottom, and look for a re-entry with less shares at the bounce and play it all day. But LKNCY usually messes up with the longs. The long setup was this breakout here until today. Tomorrow, I think it's going to be a short bias trade. But if it gaps up and it keeps on going, I'm not going to touch it.
I was going to say it would be nice if that happened though, because if you do get another green day, probably break 52s, 1509, because it did actually. Cause I wasn't following it this afternoon, but because it was holding that 13 sort of 70 level all day, and then as it
Yeah,
broke through, cracked, but it looked like actually it kind of came back to that level and finished relatively strong. So we'll see what
yeah.
happens tomorrow,
The stock is
but
very close to the breakout area. But yeah, but I have traded this stock for a while before, and when it gets this kind of extension, it usually cracks for a couple of days.
yeah.
So I think if it breaks out, it's going to retest this breakout at 11:45, and then go grind higher, and then go. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
it's gotta have some catalyst. So, but I think so far it has nothing, and yeah, I saw that they published some results, some quarterly results, but they were outdated. They were the results from 2019.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so people just say, oh, yeah, results. Yeah, sure, let's buy earnings winner. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
So maybe tomorrow it's going to panic, and the stock knows how to panic. So if you get there early, you don't need a lot of shares, because this is a almost $14 stock.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can get that move. I mean, so we have similar play to LST. Risking the red to green reclaim, especially in the morning.
Yeah. Well, I think what's nice about this, I suppose it depends because if it does gap up quite big, um, we might need to reevaluate because it might. I don't know, I haven't got as much experience with this, but if it gaps up above that support, well, the support line was 1370. If it does
Yeah,
gap up above that, would you still
right.
expect it to panic, or would you then expect it to grind? Versus if it,
No,
ga-
because the set that I'm trying to play is the first red day, right? So for me to play that, I need especially OTCs that respect the technicals pretty well. I need for the stock to gap up just a little bit, and then go break down and go red on the day. If it gaps up, let's say it opens at 14.5, it's gonna take a lot of energy, a move to go to from 14.5 to 13.5. That would be the red. So I mean, maybe uh, I don't know. It's gonna be a lot of backside needed, to get to 12, for example. But if it's just a minor gap up and it takes the green to red, then I think it could go at least to 12.50 easily. And with the right amount of shares, you could bank from it.
yeah. No, that
But if
sounds.
it breaks, if it opens at 16, that it has it has to be because it had some kind of catalyst. And if it's a good one enough for the stock to gap up that much, I mean, you don't touch it as a short.
No, and like, I
No,
suppose then it just means we'll be chatting about this for a few days, and it will be a first red day on Thursday or Friday or next week or
well,
whatever.
we'll see. But the thing is that I'm
Yeah,
prepared. I'm trying to be prepared for NLST and LKNCY. Both of them could just keep on running, but so far they are extended, and there's a play happening soon.
No, I like the sound of it. No, I feel
Yeah,
there's good
and
there's good range if they do fail on both of them. Like you've got like a dollar on both of them. Um,
this one,
L
yeah,
NLS
NLST.
NLST you can really
Yeah,
size.
basically $1 risking, but the risk reward is what matters. Risking maybe 10 cents or maybe nothing, because if it just starts going, then I set my risk for the reclaim of 4.95, and if it does it, then I'm break even. You
Yeah.
know, in LKNCY, basically the same. I don't want to lose a lot on these setups, but because I have a tight range, I can use more shares and capitalize on the move, on a big panic. So the kind of move that I like to trade, the first dip, the panic. Some play the first red day, just shorting the bounce. I do that sometimes, but it's slower, and I lack of patience. So
Yeah.
do you want to talk about your trade today?
Well, yeah, we could look at BSQR. I don't know. Did you have a look at it today?
BSQR. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So okay, you tell me the time frame, and I'll set it up.
Um, yeah, just put it on today. Just put it on the intraday for today. I've got it up on my other screen, and I think it's worth noting with this one that MRIN and BLIN were both struggling. So
Yeah,
we sort of had that massive gap up with BLIN and MRIM both gapped up to I think they're both at 52s, both at 52s, and then both sort of failed. So BSQR, for whatever reason, it's like loosely related. Like the other day when MRIN went crazy, BSQR did as well. So in theory, I thought I was playing uh, effectively a sympathy, and with those two being so weak, I thought BSQR would be the same. And um, what was really good is I was really patient, and I was waited till around it was around 11:30 where we're testing pre-market highs. And
so here.
yeah, yeah. So you see there, we're testing pre-market
Yeah.
highs, and we're getting like a little bit of weakness.
Hmm.
So I got short around that level and just covered into that flush towards VWAP, and then good trade. Pat myself on the back, was really happy. Um, where I got into a little bit of trouble was at 12:30 when it started looking weak around 7.
Here.
So I got short here again, covered
Right.
some, covered some into this six like 50, was it 655 area. I
Oh,
covered
yeah, right.
so I covered some into there, and then but some of it I didn't. So I took the second piece off um, like a small loss, um, and then I tried it again a little bit later. And what I was looking at is like this 675 level was sort of the support line, and then at like 1400 it cracked through. Um, and I got short thinking that it was going to break down, that we were going to get that backside and get the afternoon bloodbath, and it just reclaimed. And yeah, I got out around 7 for a small loss. So like a real mixed bag of doing really well at some points of spotting weakness. And what I've sort of tended to do with a lot of these, because they're very much front side trades, I pretty much just enter my covers straight away. Because you'll
Hmm.
see like a lot of the time, like it'll test. You see like from that 7 pool, it tested 650, but it tested it for like less than a minute. So if you're not prepared, you're not going to get a cover. Um, so
Yeah.
what I've just been doing is just entering covers at all times, and then if I need to, if it that's the beauty of not being an international and on Trade Zero, is I don't have PDT,
Right.
so I can mess around with this as much as I want and go in and out, in and out. That might not be a good thing because that might mean that I overtrade. And when I say might, I absolutely 100% do. Um, Whereas I think like your style is big picture, um, and you're there for a big move, aren't you? And then you're out, you move on, next trade.
Basically, yeah, yeah. But then I leave a lot behind. So they have pros and cons. Each. But what I do like, even though on hindsight, here for example on your short, even though you just left some shares, I think that was the right thing because your thesis was that the stock was going to keep on going down, right? That's why you shorted
Yeah,
right
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you cover something, loss and profits. I think that's a good practice, especially in front side shorting. And the rest was okay. I mean, this time it didn't work. Um,
So I think that I sort of can get into a bit of trouble here because the issue with this is like it's up for no reason. Like there's no reason why it's up. The other two are
right.
failing. It hasn't got a catalyst. Um, it's crazy action, 200 million volume. And I should have just been paying more attention to.
All right. There's a lot of volume.
There's a lot of volume in this. So like
A lot of
that's
volume.
so with that sort of volume, I'm instantly thinking that this, this does have the capability of ripping. Equally, I also thought that it was due to fail at some point because it's
Oh, but
started.
this qualifies as an extended gap down tomorrow.
So this
You
is
know,
so this is should be, I think, quite a nice. This potentially could be a nice trade tomorrow because it didn't manage to reach the highs of 8 and
because no, yeah. So sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no. So this is almost like that. It's not quite a reversal long because I think it has reversed in previous days and then failed. But it's just like an anomaly of volume. So like the higher the better tomorrow. And I'd look to fade it, and then anything over 8, and I'd be thinking anything over 8 on serious volume, and this um, could go pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The thing is that these 2 days of extension, it just went up from these 2 days matter. So this day it went from 4 to 8, right?
Mhm.
And the next day it gap down. Every time the gap down, there's gonna be a lot of buyers that are gonna be under the water, and they just panic, and there's a lot of selling pressure for this stock for 3 days. This is something new. I think this qualifies as 70%, maybe. The stock,
Yeah, finished. It finished. It's at 70% now.
right? 70%. So if the stock gaps down tomorrow, and you have pre-market volume, and you said that there were no news, right?
Nope.
So if there were no news whatsoever, and the stock is gapping down, and is, for example, trading at only 2 million volume pre-market, and you can do the volume projection, just multiply it by 10. And the stock is, hanging, opening here. You just wait for a bounce and a fail, and you short it, overextended gap down.
Yep.
Now, if the stock gaps up above 8, then it's a breakup. So it's like you don't short a second green day. You don't. That's kind of a that's a no go for me. But
So
I think there is a setup here. I'm gonna add it to my watch list
I
because
think it finished relatively weakly as well. I say weak. It's had a pop into after hours and then
yeah.
hasn't done
But the
anything
thing
and
is that because
hasn't
of
done any.
massive volume, a lot of people bought here, and not only here, but you see the distribution of the volume. A lot of people bought here too, and here too. So the stock gaps down to 6. There's gonna be a lot of selling pressure.
Yeah.
A lot of, then that's gonna be a short setup. So you wait for a bounce and a crack. There you go. There
And
you
I,
go.
I tend to really like these gap downs, wait for the pop, fade it,
Yeah.
and as long as it's red, you sort of pretty much set your risk off an appropriate level, but usually it's around that red to green level,
Yeah,
which looks like it's
seven,
around.
seven,
Yeah,
or the support.
so anything like six, it'd be sick if you get gaps
Yeah.
down, 670 pop, risk on 7, anything like that. obviously we'll have to see what happens tomorrow, but I think these a lot of the time these day twos can be quite they're nice little like wallet padders. They're pretty headache free. You just sort of have them on in the background, and all you're really doing with them is waiting for a pop, and you just
Right.
got to kind of hope that you get it. That's all. And if you get the pop, great, you got the trade. If you don't, you move on, or you
Right.
just keep it. You just set an alert and keep it on because sometimes they can come back like mid morning and present like a really good opportunity. Um, but this is something that I've in like Investors Underground. It's something that Nate talks about a lot, particularly like for a lot of people with some of the volume that we're getting with some of like trying to like you saw with Marin, it was MRIN, it was quite a tough one, wasn't it?
MRIA was a great example of an overextended gap down. If you go here, this day, the overextended gap down was here. Stock that it was a lot of setups at a time. It was the first red day and an overextended gap down. So yeah, the stock here just let's see 5 days in 5 days. Um, sorry for this happened to the stock went from open at 9, closed at 17, and the next day it gapped down to 13. A lot of people were underwater here.
Yeah.
All of them, that thought that okay, some people want to get out break even. So here, you see, you get the bounce. You short here when it reclaims, when it goes below BWAP again, and you can get from 13 almost.
So do you think there's an opportunity with MRIN tomorrow then? Because it had a obviously it
Dude,
said
I don't know. MRIN is a tricky one
I'm not. I know. I
because
won't. I wouldn't. I probably would avoid it.
it's a
But
1, 2, 3 green days. Technically,
Green
if it
Days
gaps down,
and it finished weak.
yeah, technically, if it gaps down, it's a first red day. But I don't like the looks of it. You know what I mean?
How about
Yeah,
what about BLIN then? That's the other.
I think that's the same, right? Because what I like is a stock that closes strong. Because all of the buyers are very optimistic. This is gonna gap up. This is gonna go to the moon. All of a sudden, gaps down, and they are, oh shit, we gotta
Yeah,
sell.
yeah,
We
yeah.
gotta sell, and that's where I come. And I short and I profit. That's what I want. That's. I think that's trading. That's taking advantage of the weakness
No, I
of the
love
masses.
that's something that that's what really drew me to trading actually was
I really like
the
right now.
psychology
Yeah,
behind it,
right
and it,
now, people say this is weak. This is gonna gap down. It's like the predictable move. It's so predictable that everyone is going to act on it, and maybe it's going to go the other way.
yeah,
But for example, on BSQR is different because it closed strong, so people think that it's going to gap up, and if it does, great. I'm not going to touch it. But if it doesn't, then then
if this gaps up tomorrow on serious volume, I'd even be thinking about going long with this because I think it could go.
oh yeah, because it's so close to the breakout that that is here at 8,
Yep.
and
And if you look, previous resistance earlier in the year is on much lower volume. So if we get like some sort of silly,
let's see
like
earlier.
earlier in the year, it's like 100 mil
Oh, compared
volume.
to this,
So I
compared to these
mean,
past few days, sure, of
yeah,
course.
I'm not saying we're going to get 12 or something, but I think with MRIM we've seen them go a little
Yeah,
bit
because
further
we have seen
than
the plays happening. BLIN, MRIN, they are going. They want to go. So now that they are not going, maybe we get another one, another one. People want these kind of moves,
yeah.
and that's great because that makes the market hotter. So
No,
that's
yeah,
good.
exactly. So I
Yeah,
feel,
that's the
yeah.
opportunity.
So good chat. I feel. Cheers for that, Carlito. I feel
Yeah,
well
yeah, yeah.
prepared. I feel well
We're
prepared.
prepared for tomorrow.
Got some good options tomorrow. I'm gonna have to catch up with some other uh, tickers because I missed the afternoon. But I see what else there is for tomorrow. But I do quite like BSQR as well as I think NLST I like as well. They're probably my two favorite, and we have to see what LKNCY does.
Yeah, LKNCY and NLST for first red days. BSQR, in my case, I will trade it for an or extended gap down if it gaps down. And I'm always looking for gappers to short to short.
Haven't had as many gappers recently.
I think I am shorted
Oh wow,
TATT.
I've
This one,
just
TATT on Friday. It was a nice gapper. You know, it's history of one and duns with volume,
yeah.
TATT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The thing is
yeah.
that it was kind of low flow, micro float, so I didn't use a lot of size, but it was, volume, gap, fades, volume, gaps, fades, volume, and it did the same. So the thing is, and my execution weren't that good. You know, the stock I traded this, I waited for this, I waited, I didn't do anything, and I entered here. You know, at this spike,
Nice.
and I covered some of my shares here, and yeah, the other ones here, and more or less. But it was a nice fade, you know. It was a nice fade. Offer you if you traded it well, a little bit like a buck a share, or something like that.
Yeah, really nice. I just saw as well that XELA had a
I
really
see, like
quite a strong finish. That came back as well. That's
mm,
another one like kind of loosely linked to the three
yeah.
that we've
But
just
the thing is
mentioned.
that look at, for example, look at how it ended. Yeah, sure, this looks great, but it's only 42%. The other one, BSQR, is 70%. You have
Yeah,
more range for the backside. This
true.
one, not so much. And when I short, I do want range. It's like when you're long, you don't want any resistance. In my case, when I'm short, I don't want a lot of support. I want clean drop.
Yeah, 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 cool.
That's it could go. I mean, it could set up for breakout because of the price.
Well, this volume,
Could
if
be
you
a
look
breakout
in,
and a couple more green days and then a first red day. That's what I would do.
yeah, the thing with I have to have a look at the news, but they've got an ATM open as well, so there's going to be some downward pressure. Um,
Oh well.
so Xella was one of my best trades last month because they announced on the last, I think it was the last day of June, they announced an ATM,
Oh,
and
here.
yeah, yeah, then it just a follow through in pre-market, hit it hard in pre-market, and then um, hit it at the open as
Oh,
well.
right, right, right. But it was gapping down, gapping up huge to 4.
So yeah,
Yeah.
gapped up, and then they announced. So it started looking weak, um, and then they announced an ATM.
So where
Um,
do you short? Here. Here was
so I got short at. So I got short into into the three. I got short a little bit too early into the sevens, and then had to ride that out to 360, and then just as I was about to cover it, collapsed, and then I was all covered in pre-market. So I was like 330, and I pretty much cover. I was covering near the bottom, and then I hit it
here.
hard. Yeah, not far off there.
Wow.
Um, and
That
then
was nice. That's nice.
pretty much I can show you I've got my chart for the open market. I hit it at three, and then my last cover was red, so it was around like 235. So it's quite a good little trade, and I was in and out and maneuvering a little bit. Um,
Right.
but just with like I suppose the other thing is like with Investors Underground, like we don't. It's not. You don't get alerted any trades. You just go through trade plans. But equally, like you also know that if there are a lot of very good traders in the room who are also short, it just gives you confidence that you're in the right ticker, if that makes sense.
Right.
Um,
That's the thing. That's the thing, and that's what they do. I mean, the big traders, the big names in the size chat or whatever chat, they compare notes. They say, okay, this is a short. And maybe the difference is the way they execute, but maybe this is not a short, and then if you were looking to short something, maybe you are missing something. There's a micro float or there are really good news or stuff like that.
yeah,
So that's
no,
that's it's good to compare notes, and it's gonna complete our our preparation.
no, exactly. So that was one of my best trades last month, and I still could have done loads better because I was able, like, even though like what I've just gone through, like my covers sound good, but equally it's very difficult to get from decent size, your same size from entry to exit, isn't it? Like you tend to cover pieces along the way.
Of
Um,
course, it's one of the hardest things.
yeah, and that's
For
the
me,
thing.
it's easy to cut losses because yeah, sure, I don't want to lose. But when the thing is that when I'm winning and I'm profiting, it's like yeah, I also don't want to lose. I don't want to give them gains, so I start covering, to locks and profits. But the thing is that I'm trading the P&L, and that's not good.
Yeah,
I think that what I should do is have more patience, trust the setup because eventually they work. I mean, look today, I tried NLST and it worked perfectly fine. The thing is that I just didn't trust the setup.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
well.
I think
We can
sometimes as
always do
well, it's
that.
just with NLST. I think if you had, I suppose it's difficult to be patient. It's so easy in hindsight. But if your risk was hard, I think you would have had a smashing trade. But cool. I need to head to bed. It's late here.
Oh, right.
Thanks for the
It's
chat.
pretty late there.
Thanks for the chat. We should do it more often. I'll catch you
All
later.
right, cool.